Hello, greetings to you, our dear viewers, and welcome on today's episode of Lumen Conversation Unscripted. My name is Macy. This program comes to your TV screen every Monday at 18:30 hours, and also live on our Facebook page, Lumen TVZ, and on our YouTube page, Lumen TV Zambia. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube page and follow our Facebook page for more interesting programs. With me in the studio, I'm not alone. I'm joined by Sydney, Uria, and Father Arthur. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Miss.
Good evening.
Welcome our viewers, those are watching us on Lumen TV. We are glad and delighted to be back on the set.
Where? Night there has been okay. It's been very hot, but it's been okay.
Great.
Now it is cool that it is raining. I think in most parts of Lusaka. Na matempa buyako pansi. You know the heat sometimes comes with tempers.
But inside it's still hot, and let's be outside.
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
And the heat brings njala sometimes. Currently, when it's very hot, you don't know whether you're hungry or it's the heat.
Okay, so like you don't know whether you are hungry or you are angry.
Yes, I think so.
You could actually be both angry and hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so how can you describe that state, being hungry and angry? Is there a special term that can be given to it?
Dilemma of what? Of feelings or
being hungry and being angry
at the same time.
What do you call that state? It's just confusion.
It's just confusion.
It's some type of confusion, I think.
Is it
confusion of mind? Confusion of
because being hungry is a state of the body. Being angry is a state of the mind. The mind is not physical. It is immaterial. So now what you're talking about is one who is having this state of the body that is hunger, okay, where you need to take in something physical for you to feel better, but also one who is angry, the state of the mind, the immaterial, is disturbed. Yeah. Now both of these feelings at the same time, what do you think that would be? I think something like confusion, state of confusion.
You seem to be enjoying this puzzle. They're more like trying to find, trying to begin to freshen up from the heavy day?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Solving a puzzle.
Yeah. Mr. Banda, you brought this puzzle.
Yeah, it brings out another issue. So he's brought out the term a puzzle. There's another term, a riddle. What could be the difference with the two? Is it the terminology, is the puzzle and the riddle? Anyway, it's a debate for another day. But it's just to warm us up for today's program.
An interesting topic. What are we talking about?
Okay, so we are talking about poverty. For some of us who don't know what poverty is, because what we are from explaining here when I feel hungry and angry, poverty. It's the fighting of emotions. So we're talking about poverty and inequality. So maybe we can each give a definition of what we feel poverty is, because people always have different definitions of what things are. Not really poverty, but we always have different definitions of something. So maybe with me, poverty, I may feel what I'm feeling right now is poverty. I'm not necessarily saying that is poverty, but people always have different definitions of what something is.
It's quite interesting. You know, poverty can be relative, can be subjective. Because like you're saying, what would be poverty for you might not be poverty for me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So from that perspective, it can be relative. It depends on your style of life. It depends on your income and outcome, income and expenditure and all that. But there could still be a standard definition of poverty, I think.
It should be there.
Yeah. For example, every human being is entitled to basic needs. Okay? And we all know what these basic needs are. Whether you are poor, as in what we might want to consider as poverty, or you are rich, as in what we might want to consider as rich, but there should still be a line in between poverty and being rich, something in between, where we begin to talk about the basic needs. So now poverty in that sense, in that case, becomes a lacking of the basic needs. That's what I think should be a standard definition of poverty. You might want to counter that, but I think it can be looked at from that, because if you are lacking a basic need, you're already getting into that zone, the red zone. But when you have enough to survive, that is, you are meeting all the basic needs, should you still be considered as poor, or should you be considered as rich? You are neither rich nor poor. You are somewhere there. So
okay.
A lacking of any of those basic needs, I think, should be poverty.
Okay, so do we have a standard of what we can say these are basic needs? Or maybe what may be basic to me may not be basic to you? Or do we have like a standard of what is basic?
I think there is the basic needs that human beings need. For example, food. That's a basic need. Every human being needs to eat.
Oh, look at Dion. No, I want to understand. Okay.
That's a food, first of all.
Okay.
So that issue of kadioko, whatever, but we are talking of food. You eat where you cannot starve. You have something to fill your stomach for a day. May not be like sumptuous or plenty of food where you eat, you throw some, but you eat something. You are surviving. You have basic.
That is basic.
Food. Yeah. So food is one of them. Then a human being needs water. You need clothing, and then you can add health. Yeah. You need to access
shelter.
Hospitals, shelter, where to sleep. You don't sleep on the streets. So those are basic needs.
Education.
Even education. Yeah, so those are basic needs. At least you hear people saying at least someone finishes grade 12. Yeah, so you have an education at least.
Yeah, there's the mentioning of the basic need, like education being a basic need, but it can be argued at some certain levels. Because what has been happening, society has produced people who haven't had any form of sort of education background, who are doing extremely far better compared to those that have got education, as we are putting it, to say it's a basic need. So that can be debated upon. Like if you look at it at which side of the angle you are looking at that point. But the common things are the ones that we mentioned, say, shelter. Of course, everyone needs shelter. Water. We cannot live without water. So certain things really you can still argue depending on how you look at it critically. We've seen some people who are still surviving without even shelter. How about our colleagues sleeping in the street? They are maybe being housed by the buildings.
Maybe that should bring us back to the question: what is poverty? Since you've gone back to the colleagues that are sleeping in the street, I don't think someone who is sleeping in the street, we can say they have the basic need just because they have somewhere where they're sleeping. So maybe when you are able to define what poverty is, then you can be able to tell us what the basic needs are.
I think on that point, like Father said, a lack of these means there's poverty. So if someone is sleeping on the street, that is a lack of shelter, which we've said is a basic need. So meaning there's poverty there. And then if one is sleeping on the street, you will see that even these other things like maybe food will also be lacking. So, and then when you start speaking of people sleeping on the street, imagine if a larger majority of people or community sleeps on the street, then now we begin to talk of extreme poverty.
Okay, let me ask you this question. For example, someone is coming from a home where they have the basic needs, and then it's my decision to go and sleep in the street. Are you going to consider me poor? Or are you going to define that as poverty because I have where to sleep, but I've decided to be sleeping in the street? Probably, maybe that's my basic need. That's where I'm feeling I'm fitting.
No, that cannot be a basic need. Then
that I'm comfortable
the poverty that comes in that situation is a poverty, again, we can say, of the mind. You see? Because
then now education becomes a basic need.
Yes, education becomes is a basic need, but then I think where the debate is where you begin to look at education and wanting to enact laws and begin to say education is a right. So meaning if someone doesn't take someone to school, then this person can be taken to court, judgment passed, and this person may be in prison. But where I think society agrees that education is a basic need, but where we begin to talk of it being a right, which should be, that because when it becomes a right, then it's a must for everyone to be educated. This is where you see children taking parents to court. No ineswana nipunzise. So niendo bamangisa amai na watani. You see what it is. So poverty of the mind.
So are we in a way agreeing that a lacking of any of the basic needs becomes poverty?
I agree.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah, it is agreeable, but to a certain extent. Because if we look at the human being in perspective, we talk about the holistic human being. Even like someone who hasn't like gotten the word of God spiritually, that person is poor. It's also something that has to be considered. He brought out a fundamental principle of the rights as enshrined in the UN Charter, signed in the year 1948. By then, when we had the the League of Nations, which before the United Nations came into existence. So we have to look at certain things critical. I would, in simplicity, say poverty is a state of not having the things that are supposed to be like the wants and the needs of a person. If you lack those things, somehow, then you are poor. Because say you can be poor, that's poverty. There's also another abject poverty, meaning that you cannot even afford the least of those basics that we've tried to lay bare on the table. Then you are in the state of being an abject poverty. You can be poor, but not very poor, not to the extremes. So it has got levels as well. Yeah, it has got levels. Then how can we now come up with a proper definition? It depends now how one looks at that point.
I think before we go there, I would like to argue with you. When you say we can define poverty as in if one is lacking their basic needs and wants, I think we should remove want, because want is a luxury. It's something you can do without. But a need
you cannot do a want to some you can't do away with.
No, but a want is a luxury. I mean, you can't die without a want.
So we can stick to the term need.
Yes, we stick to the term need.
Okay. You agree, Mr. Band?
I'm agreeable, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You've gone quiet. Messi started well with questions, and they like everyone now is anticipating what is the next question.
No, I wanted him to settle because I could see he's breathing really fast. It's like he's not in agreement. We will give you a need, which is water, but not now. Probably after the program, we need to give you.
Maybe is water a need or a want?
No, it's a need. I mean, you can't do without water. That's a need. It's definitely a need.
So now, going forward, we can agree also that there are many people in our country and in this world that lack some basic needs, and those are the ones that we categorize as the poor. And even the church, when we talk about the church having a preferential option for the poor, it is those kind of people that we talk about, those that lack the basic needs. And we know that there are so many things that cause people to find themselves in that category. Sometimes it is things that they bring upon themselves. Sometimes it is because of the bad decisions that are made by those who lead them, who rule them, who sit on the affairs of the public. Sometimes it is things coming from within their own families, sometimes even witchcraft, so there are so many. Oh yes, even witchcraft. So there are so many
amplified on that one.
There are so many things that lead to one's poverty, So now, what is our goal? Why are we talking about poverty in this manner? Is it just talking about poverty and that's it, or are we trying to find a solution to the poverty that many people find themselves in, regardless of what caused it? Are we trying to find a solution? What are we proposing? Is there something that the church is proposing or can propose in order to uplift those, or is it just to acknowledge that there is poverty and therefore it's part of the system now, so let us just flow with it? Are we trying to advocate for a world where nobody lacks any of the basic needs, and is that world attainable?
I think probably we need to find, as we talk about maybe the causes of poverty, at the end of it, or we need to find solutions, because we cannot just talk about something then sit back and leave it like that. But at the end of it, we need to come up with systems, solutions that will really help to reduce. We cannot say, yes, we may try to eradicate, but that is maybe not attainable as at now. But we can come up with ways and means of how we can reduce poverty levels to come to minimum levels, whereby at least every citizen is able to afford these basic needs that we've talked about. As a church, we have a role to play, not only as a church, even the civil society. Everyone, it needs a concerted effort of everyone to come on board. What sort of remedies are we proposing to help at least for people to have the things which can make life to be very easy? We have to look at it at a spiritual point of view. We look at society, the time when Jesus Christ dwelt with humanity when he lived. That situation was there. The classes were already there. We've got the high class, the middle class, and the lower class. And we've got people who are doing very well, others not doing very well. But we need to narrow the gap. The gap shouldn't be seen to be widening between those who have and those who don't have. At times, I always tend to argue to say, no person is born poor. Because when a child is born, no person is born poor. We all have at times equal opportunities, but maybe how we utilize certain opportunities. You talk about the different, the way we've been brought up also plays a role and shaping us maybe to be better people in society, people who are able to provide these things to others. You did mention that decision making, it's also very important. Before we look at the government, civic leaders making decisions, even parents have got a very big role in this issue. From the household, leadership starts from there. Because if you've got children, you need to provide for them. What is the role of the parents in a home? Is to provide for the children, to level the playing surface, so that at least there should be a way of doing things, making them favorable. Just like if we call upon the government, they should create an environment which is very much enabling to ensure whoever wants to do something, they are able to do it and conduct it with the surface leveled. It doesn't disadvantage or advantage someone. But being a citizen, I should feel that if this person is able to do this thing, equally I'm able to do it. So we need to find ways of how we can mitigate this and arrest the situation. Unlike just talking about it, then we just talk. We'll end up being like Pharisees.
Okay, so I will take you back, maybe from what Father had said. He said we are not only going to define what poverty is, or what talk about what continue talking about or defining what poverty is. We need to find a solution. So I personally feel before we find a solution, we need to know what causes poverty. Once we know the cause, then we can obviously come up with a solution, because there's no way, if we say maybe poverty is when one is lacking the basic needs, there's no way we're just going to say, okay, we're going to provide this and this for them when we don't know why they are lacking. Obviously there are we have some people, for example, we say maybe these ones are in need, and then you try to help them with a little something, and then they just don't know how to yes, and then they just misuse, yes, or maybe, so we also need to know the reasons why, like the causes. That's when we can come up with the solutions, because there's no way we can come up with the solutions without knowing what causes poverty.
On that one, me, I was still a little bit behind, Father, and I guess someone else there may be feeling the same or thinking the same. You mentioned witchcraft as something that brings about poverty. How? As a cause of poverty, witchcraft, how?
Okay. Do we believe witchcraft exists? It does, huh?
It does.
Huh?
I do believe it does.
Yeah. Are we being unchristian if we do believe witchcraft?
No.
Witchcraft exists.
From the missionaries over.
Maybe something personal to say. I do believe in witchcraft. Okay, the point here is not whether we really believe
or not,
but we know that there are some things out there in society, families, that people refer to as witchcraft. Okay, those things that people do when others are sleeping, or what. You see, witchcraft. Especially in families where this thing is glorified, has caused a lot of havoc. In this case, we're talking about poverty. In what sense? If you have somebody in the family that seems to be doing fine, okay, they seem to be doing better than others in the family. Sometimes even within the nuclear family, your brother, your sister seems to be doing fine. His children or children are going to good school. In the village setups, maybe your brother or sister has a very fruitful farm, So, witchcraft is actually not the actual charms that people do. Witchcraft is what somebody has in the mind. It is born from there. So, and one of those things born from there is the spirit or the aspect of jealousy. That is what leads to to witchcraft. So if I think you are doing fine and I'm not doing fine, I might want to bring you down to my level, because I don't want to be seen to be behind you, and that's why that's how jealousy comes in. I don't want my children to be going to bad schools when your children are going to good schools, because you can afford. So your children and my children are supposed to be on the same level, and so for me to be able to bring you to this level, I would have to employ some supernatural powers. Many people have gone that way. To no call a motoka, you buy a car, you never drive it at all. Balo motoka bakako imeshila. You never, because you have to be at the same level as myself. I'm not able to afford that car. So now that is just an aspect I'm bringing out that could cause poverty in the family. So if in this family there is one, or there are some people that are doing fine, I will have to bring them down to my level, and therefore my family will always be in the category of those lacking the basic needs, because I've pulled down people that seem to be doing better than myself. So from that perspective, poverty is sustained because of witchcraft. And let me repeat this: witchcraft is not the charms that you put together or those concoctions. It is here. Witchcraft starts from the mind, from what I think about your lifestyle, from what I think about you doing better than me. That's where it's. Now after that, I begin to devise ways of bringing you down to my level, or even further down, so that I put myself above you. And that's where now I go to charms. But it started from there.
Okay, so understood. One of them, yeah, you were asking like what has caused this poverty and the like. So further as
No,
mentioned,
yes.
So the other one is I'll rush to leaders when they, of course, at individual level. We already said that sometimes family make wrong decisions, but even at personal level, sometimes we make poor choices in the way when we are growing up and the like. The options that we take, the decisions we make, they again affect us, and then we find we are poor, we are lacking some basic needs. So leaders, maybe at the government level, they also, when they make, they are bad leaders, they make, not that they are bad people, but they make bad decisions. I always refused to get this, that no pae kachabe ni wabwino but bantu bamina sebenza naye. I don't agree to that, yeah, because every good leader should be a good supervisor, should have, like what we hear, good ears, good eyes, in order to see and then to project and see that okay, things are not going on well. At government level, we talked about education being a basic need. So, and then we are also talking about poverty and inequalities. So you find that perhaps in some provinces, in some areas, they don't have good schools, or they don't have schools per se. They learn under a tree. Schools are for young kids to reach schools, they are kilometers away. So you find these people who are supposed to start school at maybe preschool level now, there are no preschools. Primary school is very far. At 7 years, one hasn't started grade 1. So all that affects a human being, and we know that from research, people have said that what a young child grasps, like from 0 to 3, that forms like the software of that person. So mwana ngatankala chemkomboni saenda kusukulu amvera bakuka bataba nkongole. That is what will remain in the mind. So when that person is growing up, it will be very difficult, even among others, to make right decisions and the like. It will be difficult. So that's a cause. Leads to poverty in older age.
Solution?
Already.
I mean,
there were many other decisions at church level when you have leaders who are not speaking. Society is doing wrong things, then the church, like we say, is the conscience of society, but then it's quiet, it's not speaking. And yet there are people who are informed, well educated and everything. They see the wrong, they support the wrong and everything. That also may lead to poverty in society. So what's the solution? I talked of government being good leaders in the way they should make good decisions. If there is need in terms of inequality, if for example Northwestern Province needs schools, then take schools there.
Pafupina means
like the motto of Ministry of Health is taking health services to as close as possible to the step of the people.
Doorstep.
Yeah, doorstep of the people. So education taken there, health taken there. When people are sick, Because if you don't have health facilities, a breadwinner in the family becomes sick of malaria at this age and era when we have medications, and someone dies of malaria.
Over at 40.
Because so that's a poor decision, and it's a cause of poverty. So we need those things. So if government can know how to distribute these, because most of these basic needs at a larger scale, government is the one that has to provide health care, education. You see, as poor Sydney, I can't build a school, I can't build a hospital. So it's government, and what the church does is simply to complement government efforts, and the church has tried, we can't fault it.
Maybe another cause that I may add is the cause of
when you say government should, I almost add something, but Mr. Oya.
Yeah, I think the other issue that really can be cited as the cause of poverty, maybe, and inequality, it's how can I put it to be selfishness and greedy. It's a cause as well. Yeah, selfishness, because at times we want everything to belong to us. We don't have to think of other people. Like if you look at it in the past, the way our society was well knitted together, we had that principle of the extended family, which has been shrinked now to a nuclear family. So I would concentrate on myself and with my children. Then these other siblings from my brother, cousin, there's that distant of relationship. So that in itself has caused a number of untold suffering on our communities, because we cannot care for one another. I wouldn't pay much attention to okay, but in the past, society played a very pivotal role. Mwana wapanepa ni mwana. You can even discipline, control that child. Can it be done this time around with this issue of the human rights that has come about, having learned these things at school? So it's also a contributing factor. But we need to dialogue as a step to reduce some of these as a mitigation factor to this. Dialogue is very cardinally important. We bring people on the round table, talk about it. When we talk about inequality, look at the boy child and the girl child. Already, even the setup in the home, much of the responsibility are done by the girl child, whilst the boy child, maybe he will be playing, but much of the focus will be centered on the girl child. That's an equality starting from a home at a small scale. Then when we go to a bigger community, it will be there. Even previously, even in church, I think lately things have started to change. Even the seating arrangement in itself in church, it was bring about a lot of inequalities. You see, no, even some places it's still happening, because people,
like in our church,
they don't feel safe and comfortable. Maybe Bangala, maybe per same bench, Apa Bangala Mzmai, Bangala Mzbam. You find that certain people, you never see them in that sort of arrangement. Muchech, it's happening even today, but it has been reduced because of some sensitization, education, and the modern trends that are really happening of late. That is also an inequality that we don't look at. Maybe we look at it, an equality maybe outside, but it starts from home, these inequalities.
Okay, so Mr. Banda, you talked about like in homes, they pay attention to the girl child and like the boy child. So I just want to understand, if they're allowing the boy child to go outside to play, and then the girl child is working, that's attention?
No, they are in a home. They are, when we talk about it, there are gender roles that can be performed by both a male and a female. Gender roles. You are in a home, after eating, you've been served. Who's supposed to clean the plates? You take that responsibility. I was using this plate, let me go and clean it. Why should I wait for my sister to clean the plate for me? You see the way it is.
Now, let me just ask there, because already we're talking about inequality. So now, is this inequality one of the causes of poverty, or because there has to be a link. You get the point. So are we trying to say the inequality that we see even at family level could lead to poverty, and in what sense?
In a certain extent, yes, because here's a situation at home. There's a girl child, there's a boy child. The decision can be taken at home. It's okay, tipunzise mwana mwamuna, so that akapunzira will be able to do so many things. Mwana mkazi, they will say, no, tikapunza mwana mkazi tizaononga ndalama. Maybe we can just prepare this child for marriage. That's an equality in itself, because everyone is entitled to the right to education. You give them equal opportunity. It's up to them now when they grow to make the decision for themselves. But if you deny them that opportunity at that stage, aenda mwana mwamuna kusukulu, then mwana mkazi simu mulipira, it's fine, angankale pa nyumba. That is an inequality itself. Akankala no punzira oja muntu. How will she be able to learn certain things in life? There are certain skills which you can acquire when you go to school, and skills which you can acquire at home. So that's what I'm saying. To a certain degree, yes, that is an equality. Uja sana next school sazankala bwino maybe kisogolo, because we don't know. But that has to be corrected at that lower level, because if that is not checked, tikabwira pa community level mabwira bantu bambiri, it becomes worse now.
I would want us to talk about poverty as poverty, okay? Before we talk about it as a result of, let's say, of inequality or poverty as a result of those other things that we may want to mention, but poverty as poverty. And what I mean is, talking about poverty as poverty, we can look at it as, okay, already we have mentioned poverty comes as a result of a lacking of one of the basic needs. And that in itself makes poverty to be an evil. Yeah. Nobody deserves to be poor, first of all. According to the way we define poverty, nobody deserves to find themselves in that category, because everybody deserves to have the basic needs. We are not saying people should be rich, like everybody in the country or in the world should be rich. But we are also not saying that everybody, or even just one person, should be poor. In the final analysis, what we are saying is everybody should be able to afford the basic needs. Everybody should be able to afford food, shelter. They should be able to afford some kind of education, and many of those others that form this the basic needs. We should all be able to afford. But when you find yourselves in a situation where some people are lacking, or some people have too little to survive, where others have too much, then there's a problem there. There's a problem, and we have to go right into it and try to find out what could have led to this, and what could be done for us to reverse this. Because, like you said, nobody was born poor. We were all born as what we are. We are not born with a tag, poor. Fine, one might have been born in a poor family, but being born in a poor family does not mean that one was born poor. We were born equally blessed by God. It is now when we begin to live our life in families and in society that we begin now to find ourselves in categories of either rich or poor. Now, what are we saying? What we are saying is poverty is an evil. There should be something that should be done in order to fight this evil. If there's somebody that is making a bad decision which is leading to poverty, then we have to talk about that. If there is somebody who is doing witchcraft in the family leading to the poverty of others, that has to be addressed as well. Because poverty, exactly, thank you. Because poverty is an evil, and nobody deserves to be poor. Nobody can say, if it's so chabe, no. Everybody deserves to have food. Everybody deserves to have a decent home or a decent shelter. Everybody deserves water. Everybody deserves medical attention, etc., etc. But if we have one person that is not able to meet those needs, then there is a problem.
Yeah.
Then how do we correct that situation so that one person is assisted?
That sometimes we want to look at the problem as their problem and not as our problem, and that's where it becomes difficult for people to be part of the solution, because you look at poverty as it is their problem. It is not my problem, because I'm able to eat 3 times in a day, I'm able to go to school, I have a decent job. Therefore, it is not my problem, it is their problem. We are all part of the problem, and we should all be part of the solution. When you go on social media, you unfortunately the young people, many young people want to think it is only government that can solve their problems. It is only government that can make people rich. It is only government, or it is only those government, parents, adults of society, managers, whatever. It is only those that can find a solution to this problem. And that's why you see people making videos. No, chan, government this, chan. We are all part of the solution that we need for us to fight the problem. Okay? So even at domestic level, at community level, there should already be discussions regarding the problem. And there should already be attempts to find a solution to the problem. In fact, those that are up there, talk of church leaders or government leaders or parents, those should just supplement what should have already started from the grassroots level. They just come in to supplement and now to make concrete decisions that help to realize what has been discussed already. Now, if there is nothing that is being discussed at the community level, at the family level, in order to fight poverty, those up there are not going to have all the time to look at the poverty that is there and to find all the solutions that we should all feel part of what should be the solution to the problem. Now, when you leave everything to those leaders, that's where we see now leaders taking long to make decisions that fight poverty completely, because we have decided to put ourselves outside. For example, the church has always been part of the solution to the problems that the people are facing. If the church was not part of the solution, the church would not be running schools. The church would not be running hospitals, health centers in these rural places. The church would not be involved in works of charity. Now, the church has seen the problem. And this problem, yes, we can say it is only political leaders that can solve it, or that can come in order to find solutions. But no, the church decides to be part of the solution by doing what it can according to the resources available in order to bring some people out of the category of poverty. So then the government just comes in, because the government is also a partner of the church, the same way that the church is a partner of the government. The government comes in now to make supplementary decisions that help people to completely come out of poverty. So what we are saying is everybody is part of the solution, should be part of the solution. Rather than just complaining, why can't we sit down and say, there's this problem. What proposals are we making to those that have power to do something about this problem?
Yeah, Father, I think quite well explained there. In supplementing, I would like to say that...
okay, I think as you supplement, you should also conclude.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, I think the challenge that we have pertaining to what you've said, that solutions should start from grassroots. Sometimes the kind of poverty that we have in our communities, most of the people is that they don't realize what you've said. So that's why maybe there is need of a lot of sensitization. Of course, people feel it. They have no food, they have no what. But some people take it, if a family had to name a minute in a bad way, that's all champion. You see? Even in families where you find maybe someone is doing well, akakambako, then you find as honest and very much. So you find that such people, they distance themselves. No, that's why you find this person stays quiet, and then he leaves the situation as it is. So there's need to sensitize people a lot, so that those debates can start at family level, at society level, and everywhere. Now, allow me to end by, I was scanning through the highlights of the 2022 poverty assessment in Zambia. And the statistics that are in there are very high in terms of poverty. At national level, by 2022, the statistics say that in Zambia, we are at 60% poverty levels. And then in rural areas, the disparity is even bigger. It's about 78% in rural areas poverty. And then there's province by province, the highest being Western Province at 78.6%. But they are saying this has reduced from 82.6% in 2015, but you can see that it is still very high. So, and I think this is the reason why we decided to talk about this topic. Yes, because it is high, and most
it's
of the people
affecting all of us.
Yeah, it's affecting all of us. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Banda, your last words under a minute.
Yes, we need to have a concerted effort as human beings come together to find solutions and help, rather than just talking. I'm happy that the church is doing what it can to help mitigate this, and looking at the diary of the Pope Francis from November to mid-December, the suffrage of the pontifical office has set aside December 7. That will be dedicated for prayers for the poor in the world. So you can see that the church is taking a keen interest in trying to address these issues of poverty.
Okay.
And I mean it.
And I mean it, yes.
So poverty is a problem. We all have to agree that poverty is a problem, and if it is a problem, it is an evil. And so nobody deserves to be poor. Nobody deserves to have this evil, this problem. Those that have power to make decisions that can help to make other people's lives better should make proper decisions. We're talking of those that sit over the affairs of the public. They need to make decisions that help people to come out of that category of poverty. But also the other side, the ordinary citizens, starting from community level. They should not just be looking at the problem as their problem, but as our problem. Whether you are in that category or not, it is our problem, and therefore we can always sit down. People should be able to sit down and talk about that problem and propose solutions to the problem, so that those that make decisions could also use those proposals to make proper decisions that help to bring people out of the category of poverty. Nobody was born poor.
Okay. Thank you so much for your contributions, beautiful people. So we have some people that were following us, and they've sent in a few messages. Allow me to read them. We have one message coming from Kashindi K, which says, the core of poverty is stress. Then we have Marian M. Banda following. And then we have a message from Eugene, which says, all the panelists on point, following the program from Charleston. Then we have Justina Chipoya, which says are connecting from Pulungu. So thank you so much to everyone who joined us, those that were watching us from Facebook and YouTube, and also those that were watching us live on Lumen TV, which is channel 101 on Topstar. Kindly join us next week, same time and same place. For now, this is all we had for you. It's bye-bye and God bless.
Bye-bye.